Morning, Rob G back on the MG. Started filling the cracks on the instrument panel dash pad and started sticking all that down with epoxy. I'm using an epoxy filler here. I do not like any polyester filler because it continuously shrinks and it's more brittle. The epoxy is a lot better way to do it. So it's kind of hard to clamp some of this stuff in place, but let's see how this turned out. Got a little bit of glue stuck on that clamp, I think. So it's coming along nice. The filler sands really easy and it never shrinks. Get a little fiberglass in there and sand it down. Something to stick this vinyl back together. Not really any support there in that corner where the choke cable goes. I put a nut in there to so that it'll be nice and flat. This was all, the foam was all broke away in here, so I laid fiberglass and epoxy resin in there. And you can put this packaging tape, the epoxy won't stick to it, so I used that nut, which was the same diameter as the washer for the choke cable. And then I'll drill this and file it. This has a flat at the top of the hole because the choke cable has a flat on it to keep it from rotating. So got a little more support in there now than it did. There we go. So it's coming along. It's one of those things where you just gotta do a little bit at a time, and I gotta figure out what kind of finish, what kind of paint to get to put on this. Haven't researched that much yet. Maybe there's some suggestions you could put in the comments. But I think when it's done, it's gonna look really nice. This trying to do three things at once here. This is the filler I'm using. You can get it at Aircraft Spruce. This is actually what people ought to be using for Bondo. Bondo, the polyester, is there's a reason it's so cheap. It shrinks. Any polyester product, it shrinks a lot more than epoxy, and my experience has just been stay away from it. You're better off with epoxy. It's pretty much forever. Happy New Year. Rob G here. Just finished spraying this instrument panel to my MGB. In the previous video we saw how it needed some work, and This is the first time I've ever done anything like this with an interior, and so I'm just experimenting. It seemed to me like it turned out pretty good for what I began with here. In the previous video, I showed you the filler I used. So I went down to the parts store, got some flat, low gloss black to spray the back of the panel where I had glass beaded it to the bare metal, get rid of rust. And anyhow, where I filled it, of course, the filler's smooth. So I want to put some texture back on there before I sprayed the paint on it. So went down to Hobby Lobby, got a piece of vinyl that had the same texture as my, as close as I could get it to what the vinyl on the panel was. And so I just took this semi-gloss or low gloss paint, and I cut a strip of this about a third this big, and would just spray the paint on there and then go on here where my filler was and lay that vinyl on there and just press on it until the paint stuck, and when you pull it up it leaves the impression of the vinyl. So instead of having smooth spots, it blended in real nice. Somebody had put a layer at some point, somebody had added another layer on the top, and they had ended it along this valley here. The stuff on the top was a little bit different grain than this, so the places I patched actually had a texture more like this, but it's close enough for government work. From 2 feet away you can't even tell the difference. It had some big splits in it up in here. You can look at the previous video and see those, and you can't even see them now. There's a few wrinkles in that where there's 2 layers of vinyl on the top, and there's really nothing I can do about that. I didn't want to peel the repair off because you never know what you're going to find under there. And for what I'm wanting now, this project, this is like $1 million bucks. I repaired this for, I had about $15 in paint, and the vinyl was $1.50. The filler and stuff I had around the shop anyhow from working on airplane projects. But I started this on Christmas Day. That first video I shot was actually started on Christmas. Here it is, New Year's, and I'm done with this puppy. Ready to put the instruments in it. Very happy with how it turned out. I think for a amateur like me, not knowing what I'm doing, you guys may say, oh, you did everything wrong, but I'm going to tell you that I'm happy with it. It turned out magnificent, I think, for the effort I put into it and what I had to begin with here. And so it's ready to put all the instruments in the glove box. I'll probably spray the glove box so it matches perfectly. And anyhow, kind of excited to get this to this point. I'm gonna do this a little different than some people might. This is my car, and it's not gonna be too far from stock, but I'm not gonna put a convertible top on it. And my plan is to take, this is where the visor was, this is a latch receptacle for the top, That's for the visor. I'm gonna go ahead and take those off, and this frame is kind of corroded, the aluminum. I'm gonna sand that and probably paint it flat black, and or this semi-gloss black. And my intention is to pad this with a foam, because I don't want to really eat this bare metal in an accident. So, you know, I've been beat up a couple of times, and actually, yeah, we won't go into all that, but this is not something that looks appetizing to me. So I'm gonna put some foam on here and here. And if I ever put a top on this, it's probably gonna be a carbon fiber that I pull off of the convertible top, and it'll be a bolt-on hard top that's easy to take on and off. So anyhow, that's my plan. And that on that right side, I think that these are held on with pop rivets, and I think that one's loose anyhow. So I'll get me a new mirror for it and a new spoke that runs up here. That one's all rusty. And like I say, I'm gonna flat this out. I may polish the outside, but I'm an airplane pilot, and we like flat black cockpits and instrument panel, so the sun doesn't glare. Anyhow, there it is. So, like I say, it may not last a month, but who knows? I watched some YouTube videos on this, spraying this vinyl, and they said the biggest thing is to clean it good first, and then not to put real heavy coats on it. I put 3 coats on it, and I probably got a little heavier than the guy in the video I watched, but I was trying to hide some things too, and I'm very satisfied with how it turned out. I think when the instruments and everything's in there, this will look like brand new instrument panel, dashboard, whatever you want to call it. Thank you. I guess I need to clarify that I did use a vinyl for spraying this. I got a little gutsy and used just the regular, it's an engine paint, low gloss, and that's what I wanted to cover the blue filler with black paint before I sprayed this, so it all looked the same. Well, and I put the black paint on the vinyl, and that's what I textured the surface of the filler with, and then let that dry a little bit, and then I went over the whole panel with the vinyl. This is a little more flexible, I guess, type of paint. I don't know, it may turn out that I should have put this on the vinyl, but it seemed to work just fine. It's not like you're going to be pushing on this stuff and moving it any. But I wanted to clarify that. So my next job on this is I got to get some wheels on this thing. So it came with alloy wheels on it, but it had, I got 5 wheels with the car. 2 of them were the newer, made in the UK, aftermarket type mini lights, and then I had 3 of the original type made in England. Well, so I didn't have a match set, and that was kind of frustrating. And they were 15s, and they rubbed if you turn the wheel sharp, you know, they rub the wheel well and all that. So I thought about it, and I just got on eBay and bought me the old roast style steel 14-inch wheels like it had originally. And so I'm gonna be sandblasting these. I'm not gonna run the trim rings. I hate to clean up a wheel and paint it and then scratch it all up putting those on. And I think they look okay without them. So I'm gonna put the trim rings on eBay and sell them. And I'm gonna sell the alloy wheels. So anyhow, that's the plan. That's the next thing that I'll be doing is blasting those wheels and cleaning them and painting them. And so I'll paint them. These are sprayed all black, but they should be silver with just this little triangle black. And the way the wheels are made, they got a pretty sharp, where they're stamped, there's a pretty sharp edge there that should be easy to either hand paint it or mask it off. So I'll be working on that. I noticed when I took the wheels off that got a nice little brake fluid leak out of this right side now, so gotta see what that's all about. But of course the guy will need to go through the brakes just to know what you're dealing with. But anyhow, the wheels and tires are my next thing once I get this panel back in.